2, flawless techniques to manifest fast, effortless. You know you want to hear about that. Hello, my fellow flawless, limitless, sexy, sassy, saucy HBICs. How are you on this lovely morning, afternoon, or evening? How are you all? I hope you are all doing fabulous. I'm pumped. I'm zhuzh. This is going to be a good video. If you're new here, how you doing? I'm Kimberly, and I'm really sassy, and I like to make manifestation easy and simple because it is. And I'm obsessed with getting what I want. And if those things interest you, I would love for you to subscribe and come back and see me and hang out with me. Yes, I'm all about getting what I want, and I don't like to wait. I like it to come fast. Yeah? You know you do too. So subscribe, because that's exactly what I'm going to help you do. Okay? Let's skip over that typical intro. And instead, let me just say, if you need help figuring out what's going on between you and your manifestation, please feel free to email me at manifestingwithKimberly@gmail.com. All of my coaching options are in the Dropbox below. They're in the screens that just went by. All ways to connect with me are in the Dropbox below. If you want to coach with me, Dropbox below. If you don't want to wait, because there's a little bit of a wait for regular coaching. If you don't want to wait, you want to skip ahead of everybody else, I offer the emergency coaching, also in the Dropbox below. That is a way to guarantee you shall talk to me between 24 to 72 hours. That's 1 to 3 days, or even the very day that you email me, depending on my schedule that day, depending on what's going on, and depending how flexible you are with time. Yeah? Okay. So if you want to hook up with me, look in the Dropbox below, please. Please do. Also, if you just want to hang out with me outside of manifestation, please come over to my other channel, Kimberly's Other Life. That's where all the rest of my life is posted. Okay? All right. So, I have an idea. I'm going to share in this video 2 easy-ass techniques to manifest fast and flawlessly. Okay, I'm going to share 2. I also would like to take these 2 techniques and utilize them in a holiday challenge. It's a Christmas challenge, but I realize not everybody celebrates Christmas. So for those of you that do not, let's say maybe you're celebrating Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, or any other one that I'm not aware exists, but maybe it does. And if it's in the month of December, like Christmas is, well, this is going to be for you too. And if you don't celebrate anything in December, guess what? You can still do the challenge. That's not an excuse to not do it with us. If you're an HBIC, you better be doing this challenge. Okay? Come on, now we all want our shit, and this is going to be a community manifestation, right? We're all going to be thinking that every single one of us doing this is going to get what we want, all right? So let's talk about the 2 fast techniques, and then we'll talk about the challenge after, okay? Let's start with the number 1 and my most favorite. It is deciding. It's simply deciding who you want to be. Who you want to be. Every single one of us is in the habit of identifying as a specific version of ourselves, okay? Selves. You have been identifying as a particular version of yourself your entire life. It may have fluctuated through the years if you weren't aware of conscious manifesting. You were unconsciously manifesting. But maybe you can identify when there has been changes in your life and you are showing up as a new version. But that's what we're doing. And that's all manifestation sincerely is. Manifestation outside of who you are isn't important, isn't the real thing. The real thing, the real down dirt nitty gritty of manifestation is completely and utterly surrounded with who you believe you are, period. But this message sometimes gets skewed with opinions and ideas and perspectives. It's not always a bad thing. However, who we really are is pure, unadulterated consciousness, aka unconditional love, aka God, aka I am, aka universe, aka higher power, aka source energy, aka moonbeams, okay? But that's who you really are. You're not the physical 3D meat suit that you're seeing in the mirror today. No, your consciousness. And because of who you are, you get to choose who you're identifying as. We have been conditioned to believe that we just have to be who we've always been or what the 3D world tells us we have to be. And that ain't the truth. The truth is, it's choice. Sometimes the person we're being, the person we're identifying as, is a limited victim type individual. We're all guilty of a victim state, a victim version. But maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe this is the first time you've ever watched one of my videos, okay? You have been a particular version of yourself over and over and over. It's been a habit. Manifestation is breaking that habit. So how do we do it? We decide who we want to be. What are we manifesting? If we're manifesting a specific person, then we want to identify as the version of ourselves that has the relationship with that specific person. If you're manifesting money, you want to identify as the version of yourself that has the money you're manifesting. Or maybe you're manifesting both. So you want to identify as the version of yourself that has that magical relationship with the person of your choice and has an abundance of money. You can even narrow that down to a specific dollar amount. That is okay. Maybe you want to be perfectly healthy and love your appearance and have an SP and have money. Then identify as that version of yourself. It really is that simple. When you start deciding to be a particular version of yourself, and you're making that decision every single day, your 3D will begin unfolding a bridge of incidents that brings you to all of those things, the things you're manifesting. It can be instant or it cannot be instant. It's really up to you. Doesn't always feel like that though. And the 3D doesn't always seem to change very instantly, but it is. It really is. And when you make that decision is instant. The thing is because of our old habit of being an old self, we tend to fall right back out. And that's why it's our job to return to our decision to be that new version of self. Another phrase that means the same exact thing is state of consciousness. Your state of consciousness. So, how do we just decide to be new self? You can do it with any manifestation technique that you prefer. My way of doing it, and what I'm talking about in this video, is I just decide it. I just have that thought. I am new self. It's basically an affirmation, but to me, when I'm doing it, it feels like an inner conversation with my higher self or my I amness. Do you see what I'm saying? But that higher self, that I amness is in here. We are not separate from it. It might feel like we are. We're not. We are completely attached with it. We are it. So when I say attached, I kind of mean like an octopus, one of the octopus legs. That's what we are. And we're individualizing that piece of consciousness, but it's never separated. It's always together as one. See? So picture a sun or an octopus, okay? And that's consciousness. And we are that octopus leg. I'm sure there's a tentacle something? Tentacle. The tentacle. Or if you're looking at a sun, the sun is all consciousness. And the moonbeams are it being individualized. So one of the moonbeams is me, Kimberly. The other moonbeam is you and the other you. And let's just start picking out people that I'm aware of. My best friends. Each one of those moonbeams is you, but we're all still attached. And from there, through that individual, Kimberly, I'm also a sun of my own through consciousness, but still connected to that sun ray, to consciousness. But then that individual of me, Kimberly, I'm the sun of the Kimberly side of consciousness, and all the sun rays coming out of this Kimberly sun is all the different versions of me, and there are infinite ones, and I get to choose every single one. I can be any version of myself. So can you. So I hope that made sense. I hope that made it easy to understand. I'm going to intend that it is. If not, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I would be happy to give you a more defined answer in a video. So that's how we're doing this. We are choosing our thoughts, and we are deciding, affirming that we are new self. I suggest, if you haven't done this already, make a list. Make a new self list and write down what that means to you. I did the list. And that list, I'm going to summarize, broke it down between all the areas of my life. So who I was, who I wanted to be in love, meaning who I'm with, what my relationship looks like, how I'm treated, and how I feel. Then I went to my money department. What I want in my bank balances, how I want to feel about money. Then I went to the other categories, weight loss, health, appearance. And I defined who I was in those categories. And I might not have been that person when I made the list, but I defined it so that I could make it easy for myself, so I could know that every time I say I am new self, I instantly know what that means. So therefore, my subconscious instantly knows what this means. If you are new to this and you've watched other content before you found me, okay, and if you've got that mindset that you've got to dig up all your limiting beliefs, you're making your journey so incredibly difficult and unnecessary. Yes, you can just choose to be a new self. Now, from my perspective, that's why I'm calling it more difficult, more unnecessary. This isn't about having to heal. It's never about that. That version of you continues existing in a frame, in the ether, in the universe, in the absolute, waiting to see if you want to come on back and light up that frame again and be that version of self. It's always choice, but you really can. If you've experienced traumatic experiences, if you've had really unfavorable moments in your life that were never your fault, they don't have to hold you back anymore. You can choose to be the you that doesn't have the attachments to those experiences. And listen, I know for some of you, you've had trauma, and your personality, from your perspective, you love it and you love all aspects of it, and you believe that the trauma is the reason why you have this amazing personality now. You don't have to lose all the special things that you love about yourself simply because you're a new self. There are infinite versions of you. So there's a version of you who has all those golden nuggets that you've believed that the trauma helped create. You get to choose it anyway. You're in charge of who you are. I just want you to know that. And I also want to say to any of you out there who want the healing, who want to spend the time digging through your past experiences, traumas, and heal them personally. If you believe you have to heal your inner child, you can still continue believing that. Because I am in the awareness that that is unnecessary to become a new self doesn't mean that you have to shed that and not go on your healing journey. If you still want to go on your healing journey, you do it. It's your reality. It's your choice. But I'm telling you, or at least I'm hoping I'm reaching to any of you who don't want to do that and want to just be free of the pain from the past. You can choose it. And with the repetition of you choosing it, we can call it affirming or inner conversating with yourself. You can choose it. You can choose it. And by the power of God, by the power of the universe, by the power of the intelligence of your subconscious, it can move you, and it moves you instantly. It's just the habit that might pull you back, but that's why we return. And this is why even Neville Goddard said, it's not how long you hold the new state or the new version of self. It's the frequency of returning to it. The frequency. So just return. But it does work. Just saying. Okay? So you affirm it to yourself after you've defined who new self is. You tell yourself that's who you are. You start your day telling yourself that's who you are. Now from there, we don't marinate in shitty thoughts anymore. When thoughts come up, we let them float right on by, or we can tell ourselves that that thought is just a vehicle to another reality, because that's all they really are, or they're thoughts from old self, whatever you resonate with. They all work, right? And the technique in itself is you're deciding. You're just choosing every day to be new self. And it is as simple as I'm describing. There's not more to it. It's really just a choice. Okay? You can affirm this. You can visualize this. You can script this, right? You can inner conversate between yourself and higher self, or God, or universe, or past family members. Or you can be inner conversating with people that are already in your day-to-day life. But in a sense, you're having the inner conversation with their consciousness, telling them how holy shit, I am new self. I did it. I'm here. I am in the reality where I am living my best life. I have everything I've ever wanted. That's how this all started for me, is I started having what felt like an inner conversation. So I call it like a hybrid inner conversation / affirmation with my higher self. Like, girl, I did it. I got my ass here. I did it. And my life began to change. But I definitely fell back out of it and had my moments of doubt. But I just didn't give up because I wanted what I wanted. And I knew manifestation worked at that time in my life. But regardless, that's all I do to manifest. And it works pretty flawlessly. And I don't wait a long time for things to show up. You don't have to either. Make the decision. So that's the first technique. The second technique is revising your day before you go to sleep at night. Now, don't panic if you fall asleep before you do it. Do it tomorrow, but do it. What do I mean by this? I mean simply, before you go to bed, as you're laying in bed, if there was anything, first of all, if there was anything that happened during the day that was not favorable to you and you don't like it, revise it. Revise it. Simply tell yourself that it didn't happen that way. This is what happened. It's really that simple. If you're a visualizer, you're going to go back to that moment and visualize it as a changed story, as a new event. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's using revision, but doing it daily. So you're revising your day. So I'm about to read to you my favorite Neville Goddard success story. It is my ultimate favorite. I have read this on this channel before. It is going to bring up the subject of revising your day. So it's going to give you a little example on what you might be doing, and hopefully you choose to do this. And this, taking these two techniques, is what I want to do for our holiday Christmas. I got a little excited. Our holiday Christmas challenge. Okay? So let's dive in to some Mrs. J.E. Yeah, I'm gonna read. Okay? Saddle up, partners. Wouldst thou be in a dream and yet not sleep? Try to revise your day every night before falling asleep. Try to visualize clearly and enter in to the revised scene, which would be the imaginal solution of your problem. The revised imaginal structure may have a great influence on others, but that is not your concern. The other influenced in the following story is profoundly grateful for that influence. LSE writes, last August, while on a blind date, I met the man I wanted to marry. This happens sometimes, and it happened to me. He was everything I had ever thought of as desirable in a husband. 2 days after this enchanted evening, it was necessary for me to change my place of residence because of my work. And that same week, the mutual friend who had introduced me to this man moved away from the city. I realized that the man I had met probably did not know of my new address, and frankly, I was not sure he knew my name. After your last lecture, I spoke to you of this situation. Although I had plenty of other dates, I could not forget this one man. Your lecture was based on revising our day. And after speaking to you, I determined to revise my day every day. Before going to sleep that night, I felt I was in a different bed in my own home as a married woman, not as a single working girl sharing an apartment with 3 other girls. I twisted an imaginary wedding band on my imaginary left hand, saying over and over to myself, this is wonderful. I really am Mrs. J.E. And I fell asleep in what was a moment before a waking dream. I repeated this imaginary scene for 1 month, night after night. The first week in October, he found me. On our second date, I knew my dreams were rightly placed. Your teaching tells us to live in the end of our desire until that desire becomes fact. So although I did not know how he felt toward me, I continued night after night, living in the feeling of my dream realized. The results? In November, he proposed. In January, we announced our engagement, and the following May, we were married. The loveliest part of it all, however, is that I am happier than I ever dreamed possible, and I know in my heart he is too, Mrs. J.E. By using her imagination radically instead of conservatively, by building her world out of pure dreams of fancy, rather than using images supplied by memory, she brought about the fulfillment of her dream. Common sense would have used images supplied by her memory and thereby perpetuated the fact of lack in her life. Imagination created what she desired out of a dream of fancy. Everyone must live wholly on the level of imagination, and it must be consciously and deliberately undertaken. Lovers and madmen have such seething brains, such shaping fantasies that apprehend more than cool reason over comprehends. If our time of revision be well spent, we need not worry about results. Our fondest hopes will be realized. Art thou real, earth? Am I? In whose dream do we exist? There is no inevitable permanence in anything. Both past and present continue to exist only because they are sustained by imagining on some level or other. And a radical transformation of life is always possible by man revising the undesirable part of it. Let me kim some of that down for you. I don't think I really need to kim any of that down. But what Mrs. J.E. did was before she went to bed at night, she imagined that she wasn't in the apartment where she actually was, where she lived with 3 other chicks. She imagined that she was in her marital home in her marital bed, laying next to her sexy, sassy, saucy hubby to be, who, listen, she didn't believe her 3D. She didn't let the 3D tell her who she was. She allowed herself to imagine what her life would be like, married to her specific person. She twisted her imaginary ring on her imaginary left hand. It's okay if you actually are laying in bed and twist a fake ring on your actual left hand. It's okay to do that too. That still counts. But she chose to go into imagination and decide who she wanted to be by revising her day every day as being a married woman. And look how that unfolded. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? If you were to take these two techniques, now I'm adding an extra technique. Mrs. J.E. didn't decide who she wanted to be every single day. But in my opinion, when she was revising her day every day and getting into that imaginal scene as her married self, she was deciding. That was her becoming her new self. It's exactly what manifested. So, can you imagine if you took that extra little mini step and started your day telling yourself that's who you are now? So, for example, if you're manifesting being married to your specific person, start your day telling yourself that that's who you are now. You are the version of yourself that is married to SP. When your logical mind wants to berate you and tell you, no, you're not, bitch, you're still single. That man don't want you. That's when you remind yourself, oh, yes, he does. Oh, yes, he does, because we are connected through consciousness. And I know I'm choosing to be the version of me that has that marriage with that man. So if I know that I'm making that decision and I'm choosing that, then I must be in the right reality. And that every single thing that's happening out here is absolutely unequivocally leading me to being that married bitch. That's who I am now. That's who I'm choosing. So my 3D has to validate me. That's manifesting. Manifesting is choosing who you want to be, identifying as that person, and not letting the 3D tell you differently. And as you're living your day-to-day life, you don't let the 3D change your mind. She waited 30 days. 30 days of having to get up as the single woman, going to work, coming home as the single woman, living with 3 other single girls. That's what her 3D was. But she kept choosing to revise her day before she fell asleep as a married woman. She kept choosing new self. She detached from her 3D. Detached from your 3D. Detachment doesn't mean you cannot think of your manifestation. Clearly not. Detachment means 3D doesn't boss us or kick us around anymore. If you have day-to-day interaction with your specific person and they're telling you, I don't want you, bitch. Who cares? They're not in charge. You are. That is just the version of them that you chose before you realized who you were being or who you are choosing to be now. So we're picking a new, better version of them too. Any of you out there manifesting just new love and you don't have a specific person, use a blank canvas. Use a blank canvas. Imagine the things that you are attracted to in a man or woman and use a blank. Use a placeholder. When I was having my September and wasn't necessarily loving life, I used a placeholder so I could detach from my 3D. Placeholder man, Jason Momoa was my placeholder man for what it's worth. I'm going to have to do a video on that. But you can still imagine yourself in a marital home, touching an imaginary ring on your left hand, right? You don't have to have the clear image of a person. This is for all you manifesting new love, though. Okay? You don't have to. And listen, all you SP manifestors, specific person, It's okay if you don't have a clear image. You don't have to visualize. You don't have to imagine it. You could be affirming it. You could be having an inner conversation with a friend, telling them, oh my God, we're married. It's happening. I got my ring. Whatever feels good to you. That's what we're doing for the holiday challenge. I'm sorry if you hear my washing machine. We are making the decision of who we want to be every single day. And before we fall to bed at night, fall to sleep at night, we are going to revise our day that we spent the day as that new self. So if you're a visualizer, you can imagine anything you want. Now, Mrs. J.E. did use the same visual every single night. So if you want to be strict and do it her way, please do. Do I think it's necessary to use the same exact visual every single night? Nope, I don't. So if you want to change it up every night, go right ahead. As long as your visual clearly means I have what I want, that's all that matters. It's all that matters. If you're someone who's not visualizing and you're affirming or inner conversating, you can change up your affirmations too. Same rule applies. Just make sure they're implying you got what you want, okay? So let's do it. Please, in the comments below, give me a sign that you're doing this with me. Even if you want to put like a Santa emoji or a Mrs. Claus emoji or a Christmas tree emoji or a snowman emoji. Give me a holiday Christmassy emoji so I know you're doing this challenge. Let's do it. Let's get what we fucking want for our holidays. Let's do this. Why are we waiting? Now, don't get me wrong. We don't have to limit it to fucking Christmas. We can allow this to happen at any time. You see what I'm saying? We can be expecting that manifestation show up 10 minutes from now. We don't have to limit it to specifically Christmas Day. Don't go that deep, or it is your reality. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that won't be what I'm doing. No. I like to think that my shit came yesterday, right? Okay. Remember, it's already done. You do already have what you want. You are just choosing to be the you that is finally gonna allow it to unfold. And all I mean by that is you've got to choose to be the you that has it. That's how we get it. And it's okay if you don't believe a word of what you're saying to yourself. It's okay. The repetition of you doing this over and over and over is going to make that new you, that new state feel very comfortable, natural, normal, and therefore easier for you to believe. So, on that note, join the Christmas/holiday challenge with us all. Leave that emoji. And if you're not going to do it, give me your excuse why. But both of those techniques I shared in this video work. I have changed my entire life by doing the deciding who I want to be every day. Changed my life. Most importantly, it's brought me the most amazing love relationship that I have ever been in with the best version of my person. And my God, I feel like a new human. And it's not because I have love. It's not because I manifested my SB. It's because I have changed. I've changed. It's all about self. So on that note, I'll see you tomorrow.